Here are the top stories for today, December 29, 2020. President Rodrigo Duterte close-in security among the first to receive COVID-19 vaccines. Overseas Filipino workers are reminded to remain vigilant against the new coronavirus strain. A former cadre of the CPP NPA says ideologies introduced by the Reds are senseless. Tourists can get a 50% discount on swab testing at a government hospital. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. 9 congressmen were named by President Rodrigo Duterte for alleged corruption activities. Reading from the PACC list, President Duterte said these lawmakers received kickbacks from project contractors. Among these are Occidental Mindoro Representative Josephine Ramirez Sato, former Ifugao Representative Teodoro Teddy Bagilat, Quezon City 5th District Representative Alfred Vargas, Misamis Occidental Representative Henry Owaminal, Isabela Representative Alisa Sheena Tan, Northern Samar 1st District Representative Paul Daza, 4th District of Quezon Representative Angelina Helen Tan, ACT CIS Party List Representative Eric Go Yap, and Bataan 1st District Representative Geraldine Roman.
I just want to assure everybody that yung pagbasa sa pangalan ninyo is not a condemnation or an indictment that you are guilty of something. In the same manner that I would tell the people that do not take it as a gospel truth na totoo talaga to.
Meanwhile, several district engineers were relieved from their post following reports of alleged corruption activities in connivance with lawmakers in the list. President Duterte said the district engineers on the list were already set to be transferred or reassigned, but was not implemented due to the intervention of Congressman Josephine Ramirez Sato of Occidental Mindoro.
Congressman Josephine Ramirez Sato of Occidental Mindoro. Her alleged bagman is the district engineer, has been staying in position for at least 10 years. Secretary Mark issued an order for the transfer of said district engineer, but until now it has not been implemented due to the intervention of Congressman Sato. Well, the Secretary of DPWH is listening now, maybe.
President Duterte also mentioned District Engineer Ricardo, who has been assigned in Davao City.
District Engineer Ricardo, you have been assigned in Davao City for the longest time. Meron ka ng beach house, meron ka ng lahat. Sa Davao, you stayed there for the longest time because of the congressman also. You are relieved.
Another name on the list is Ricardo, whom the president wants to reassign in Basilan. He also asked the DPWH Secretary Mark Villar to furnish him with a list of all the district engineers for reorganization.
No, I would like to ask Secretary Villar to give me the list of all district engineers and the districts they are assigned all over the country. I will reorganize the assignments. Ikutin ko kayong lahat. Kayo yung meron talagang kahit ito si Ricardo, I'll assign you to Basilan kasi pinaputok ng IIED yung mga sundalo ko doon, nasisira yung daan. Itong pangalan, it is a validation. And that, ma-validate ko itong si Ricardo. May beach house ito, mansion, malaki. Bilyonarya na to. Totoo lang. Kaya ako ang i-reshuffle ko silang lahat. Baliktarin ko, tapos baliktarin ko ulit.
Metro Manila and 9 other areas in the country will remain under General Community Quarantine or GCQ status until January 31, 2021. These are the provinces of Batangas, Isabela, Lanao del Sur, Davao del Norte, the cities of Santiago, Iloilo, Tacloban, Iligan, and Davao. The rest of the country will also remain under the least restrictive Modified General Community Quarantine or MGCQ. President Duterte made the announcement as he reminded the public not to leave their homes unless absolutely necessary. The president earlier urged the public to skip Christmas festivities, especially large gatherings, to avoid catching or spreading the disease. He also pitched for the creation of a new task force to focus on the new coronavirus strain that is reportedly more infectious. The government is negotiating with several pharmaceutical companies for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. This as it targets inoculation by March 2021. However, some members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, particularly the close aide of the chief executive, have already been injected. The details from Marita Mawahe.
Members of the Presidential Security Group took a courageous step to receive COVID-19 vaccine. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said Duterte's close-in security decided to take the risk of getting inoculated not for personal benefit but as a way to protect the president. In an earlier press briefing, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque defended AFP after some military personnel received the Sinopharm vaccine despite having not been approved yet by local regulators. Roque said receiving the Sinopharm vaccine is a personal decision of some military personnel, adding that it is currently among the most widely used vaccines so far. He also noted that nearly 1 million Chinese people, including workers, government officials, and students, have received the Sinopharm vaccine.
I can only confirm what the President has said. Ilang sundalo ay nabakunahan na po. It was not mandatory. Kung sino lang yung gusto po pwede. Hindi po pinagbabawal ng batas natin ang magpaturok ng hindi rehistrado. Ang bawal po yung distribution at yung pagbebenta.
Meanwhile, Colonel Jesus Durante of the Presidential Security Group said President Rodrigo Duterte has not yet received any vaccine shot against COVID-19. He said the president is still waiting for a perfect or appropriate vaccine before he subjects himself to inoculation. In a meeting last Saturday, President Duterte clarified with Food and Drug Administration Director General Eric Domingo if it is possible to be inoculated with more than one brand of vaccine. Domingo said more than one vaccine might not be advisable, especially since it is relatively new in comparison with vaccines for other diseases. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Mawahe.
Following reports that certain individuals have received COVID-19 vaccine shots, the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, reminds the public to take extreme caution as it has not issued any emergency use authorization to any vaccine for COVID-19. The FDA says without the proper authorization, there is no guarantee on the safety, quality, and efficacy of the vaccine. It says manufacture, importation, sale, offering for sale, distribution, transfer, non-consumer use, promotion, advertisement, or sponsorship of any unauthorized vaccine is prohibited. Overseas Filipino workers are reminded to remain vigilant against COVID-19 as the virus is not stopping nor slowing down. Bataan Bishop Ruperto Santos advised OFWs to follow the orders of Philippine officials in the countries where they are employed. He also reminded them to set aside social gatherings and unnecessary travel. Several countries have already reported cases of the new strain of COVID-19, which was first reported in the United Kingdom. This prompted other nations to impose travel restrictions and strict border controls. Still to come, Dabaweños are warned against fake COVID disinfecting agents. And more informal workers receive financial assistance. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
sa matinding laban natin sa Coronavirus Disease 2019. Sugpuin din natin ang pagkalat ng fake news. Huwag magbahagi ng impormasyon na hindi tiyak ang pinagmulan. I-check mabuti ang source ng balita. Kumuha lamang ng impormasyon mula sa mga official channel ng Department of Health. Huwag magpadala sa maling balita, basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
You are still watching the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte signed the 4.5 trillion peso national budget for 2021 a few days after Christmas. In his speech, Duterte emphasized that the budget bill attests to a fruitful collaboration between the executive and legislative branches of government, especially at a time where the health and welfare of people are at stake.
I cannot stress this enough. Every centavo of this budget must be spent to ensure our nation's recovery, resilience, and sustainability. Let me therefore serve as an assurance to the Filipino people. This coming year, we intend to recover as one nation.
The Department of Budget and Management said the 4.5 trillion pesos national budget for 2021 is equivalent to the 21.8% of gross domestic product. This is the country's largest to date, larger by 10% than the 2020 national budget. The education sector received the largest portion with 751.7 billion or 16.7% of the 2021 national budget. The Department of Public Works and Highways will get 695.7 billion pesos, while the Department of Interior and Local Government will get 249.3 billion pesos. The Department of Health will receive 210.2 billion, which is 19.6% higher than its 2020 national budget. Meanwhile, the Department of National Defense will get 205.8 billion. Department of Social Welfare and Development with 176.9 billion, Department of Transportation with 87.9 billion, Department of Agriculture with 71 billion, the Judiciary with 45.3 billion pesos, and the Department of Labor and Employment with a 37.1 billion pesos. Nearly 1 million informal sector workers have so far benefited from the Cash for Work program of the government, according to the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said these workers were provided emergency employment under the TUPAD program and received wages amounting to 4.5 billion pesos. Some 790,000 had been paid, while nearly 142,000 have ongoing works. He said the record implementation of TUPAD is pursuant to the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte to speed up assistance to the most vulnerable members of society. TUPAD beneficiaries may reach more than 1 million, with more funds still available under the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, or Bayanihan 2. Under the said program, beneficiaries are paid for work done for a minimum of 10 days to a maximum of 16 days based on the threshold requirements in the area. Mayor Sara Duterte warned Dabaweños on Monday against people posing as City Health Office employees offering disinfection services in the homes of COVID-19 patients. In a radio interview, Mayor Sara said the city government is not offering such services unless requested and approved by the CHO. Mayor Sara issued the warning as several COVID-19 positive patients who are currently in isolation said they are receiving calls from persons offering to disinfect their homes. Apart from the bogus disinfecting agents, she also warned Dabaweños about individuals claiming to be working with CHO selling rapid and antigen testing kits. The Public Security and Safety Command Center said these alleged calls may be done by syndicates aiming to scout and subsequently rob households that are supposed to be disinfecting. The CHO urged everyone to report immediately to the police or public safety office. We are almost on the last page of our calendar for this year. And as we look back to everything that transpired in 2020, we would like to know what some of the issues or events that make this year such a memorable for you. What are the issues or events that stick to your mind for this year? Let's find out some of them in our Boses ng Masa.
Ang tumatak sa aking issue ngayon sa yung COVID-19. Ang COVID-19 dahil maraming negosyo, nalugi, tsaka yung pag-aaral, yung onting natututunan. At hindi matutunan kung sa face-to-face class. Ano ba?
Siyempre po, itong COVID na to. Yung COVID, yan ang number 1 naging papahirap sa amin ngayon dito. Hanggang sa ngayon, medyo kahit pa paano nakakapagtatrabaho kami. Nakapamamasada. Napayagan kaming pinapamamasada. Pero noon, talagang hindi kami halos nakapamamasada.
Tungkol sa COVID-19, yung kabuhayan, ngayon lang nga kami lumabas sa loob ng maraming buwan. Ngayong December, yun, medyo lumuwag na.
Yung COVID-19 nga na ito, huminay pasada, walang may sakay. Siyempre, walang hanap buhay yung mga tao. Saka natatakot lumabas. Dahil nga sa COVID na yan. Ayun nga. Buti na lang kahit paano nagbigay mahal na presidente natin ng ayuda. Kahit paano. Kung hindi, mamamatay tayo sa gutom yan.
Up next, a former cadre of the CPP NPA says ideologies introduced by the Reds are senseless. And tourists get a 50% discount on swab testing at a government hospital. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
A former rebel lambasted the CPP NPA NDF for letting people fall under their senseless ideologies. Noel Legazpi alias Ka Efren said the communist movement said they are serving the people, but they actually destroy the life and livelihood of the Filipinos. During the virtual Laging Handa public briefing, Legazpi cited the 5 decades of atrocities, extortion, killing of innocents, exploitation of youth, and abuses among women committed by the NPA members. Legazpi said the public should be vigilant, particularly the youth and the student activists who are the most vulnerable and primary targets of the NPA recruitment. He said the youth could get more opportunities rather than joining the communist insurgency. He also urged the youth to stay away from the identified legal front organizations of the CPP NPA NDF. In our foreign news, Japan on Monday suspended new entries of non-resident foreign nationals from most parts of the world as a precaution against a new variant of the coronavirus. The country has already reported 8 cases of the new strain of the virus, which was first reported in the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Suga Yoshihide said a new measure on travel of foreigners was a proactive measure to protect the people of Japan. NHK News reports that the ban will continue until the end of January. Under new conditions, Japanese citizens and foreigners with resident permits returning from the countries where the new variant has been detected are asked to submit a negative virus test result within 72 hours of departure. They must also undergo a test upon arrival through the end of January. At least 20 countries have reported the new strain of the virus. Tourists can now apply for an RT-PCR test at the Philippine Children's Medical Center or PCMC for only 750 pesos. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the Department of Tourism will earmark 8.7 million pesos to finance the new subsidy program. This cuts into half the 1,500 peso regular cost of RT-PCR test at PCMC for tourism. The program is on top of DOT and the Tourism Promotions Board's similar subsidy at the Philippine General Hospital or PGH. The subsidy is one of the recovery strategies as part of the DOT's Safe Bangon Turismo campaign. The tourism chief is optimistic that this would further encourage the traveling public to rediscover places that have been declared open and safe. Among these destinations are Manila, Boracay, Palawan, Cebu, Bohol, Baguio, and Ilocos Norte. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. President Rodrigo Duterte close-in security among the first to receive COVID-19 vaccines. Overseas Filipino workers are reminded to remain vigilant against the new coronavirus strain. A former cadre of the CPP NPA says ideologies introduced by the Reds are senseless. Tourists can get a 50% discount on swab testing at a government hospital. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is finally 3 more days to go before the end of the year 2020 and also the last official working day of the year. I think everybody is looking forward for 2021. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day to all.